Okay, so reviews of Wrestlemania as well as the Hall of Fame. So let's go first. Let's talk about the Hall of Fame real quick. A lot of people have thrown out the idea that certain people don't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. I've heard it thrown around for Stevie Ray and Torrie Wilson. From what I can tell, there's only 3 real criteria to being involved in the Hall of Fame. 1, if you have a little popularity or notoriety during your era. So, Stevie Ray, have a Harlem Heat, fantastic tag team, got good pops, 10-time tag team. Makes sense that they're a popular enough group that they should be involved. Torrie Wilson, during her time, she was popular. Her music hit, crowd popped. She sold merch, she sold posters. I mean, she was popular during her era. Number 2, are you in good standings? Certain people didn't get in the Hall of Fame for a long time because of random backstage heat. I've never heard people say bad things about Stevie Ray, nor Torrie Wilson. And then number 3, will you agree to be in the Hall of Fame? I think it's great to see Harlem Heat go in. Ironically, Harlem Heat, for being a really fantastic tag team, they're not considered in the all-time greatest tag teams. Probably because they were only really a WCW tag team. They didn't go to New Japan, they didn't wrestle in ECW, they didn't wrestle in WWF, WWE. They didn't have an NWA heritage. They were pretty much a single brand tag team. Which is sad, because they really should be in the conversation about fantastic tag teams and great tag teams. So it makes sense why they have earned their way into it. Yes, it's easy to go, well, here's a list of 10 people that should be in the Hall of Fame, but they're not. It's easy to go, well, Vader should be in the Hall of Fame. Yes, Vader should be in the Hall of Fame. Will he go into the Hall of Fame eventually? Yes. Lots of members of the Hart family should be in the Hall of Fame, but Owen Hart's widow does not want him to be in the Hall of Fame. So, if they want to do the Hart Foundation, well, they can't. Because Bret wants it to be pretty much the Hart family. He wants it not just be Bret and Neidhart, it's Bret, Neidhart, and Owen. He wants it to be other people who were in the Hart family to be inducted. It's not going to happen for a while. Lots of wrestlers should be in the Hall of Fame, but either we do a 5-hour Hall of Fame induction ceremony, or you do a smaller group of people, and then the show actually flows significantly better. It's like Molly Holly and Ivory should also be in the Hall of Fame. It's pretty easy to pick your way through. Actually, Jazz, if she were to ever partially decide to retire, would be fantastic for the Hall of Fame. But their time will come eventually, hopefully. And now let's talk about the build-ups. Raw is pretty pathetic right now. The Ronda Rousey character, her heel character works well enough, but I think we've gotten so far into the weeds with this that I want the match to be good. I'm tired of the build-up. KO did a good job trying to make Becky Lynch Charlotte scenario super. He's like, they want to see a fight. So they did a brawl. Not their best brawl, but worked well enough. Felt different enough. Moved forward enough. Seth Rollins, Brock Lesnar. With Brock never being there and Seth picking the idea of, you have a hard time beating smaller, faster guys. With him going, yeah, that's true, but he's still beaten all of them. Kind of a moot point. And the tag division, who knows who the Revival's going to face. The IC belt on Bobby Lashley, so who knows if he's going to defend the title in a one-on-one match or a multiple-man match. I will say I do think that the big dog taking on who I'm sure call him Kraven the Hunter, the Drew McIntyre Roman Reigns Chosen One versus Chosen One, I love that, because that's going to be two guys who are going to go, I'm coming back from cancer, I got something to prove. I am born and bred. I fought for years to come back here. I have something to prove. Which means you're going to take two guys who are going to be like freight trains slamming into each other. And then they're going to back up a little bit and slam into each other again. And it's going to be beautiful. And it's got virtually no build, with the exception of, I have to destroy you to prove how superior I am to every other person in this locker room. Which almost makes me want to have Brock retain. And then at SummerSlam, Drew McIntyre takes on Brock Lesnar. There are a few matches left for Lesnar. Lesnar Lashley, Lesnar McIntyre. Once that's done, he can ride his gravy train back home and do UFC or whatever else he wants to do. On the SmackDown side of things, I want to see the Usos and the Hardys. I think we might get Usos and Hardys, which, brothers versus brothers, tag team specialists. Yes, please, put me down for that. I would like that. Rey Mysterio versus Samoa Joe. Cool. They work well in their multiple man matches. I think they work great in a one-on-one match. Or a 6-person match if you throw in Andrade, R-Truth, Mustafa Ali, maybe Kevin Owens, maybe a ladder. Maybe Sami Zayn is ready around that time. I mean, just take the whole point mid-card of SmackDown, throw them into a match, put it with the U.S. title, and just run with it. Or maybe also involve Rusev and Nakamura. And whoever's not involved in that is going to be involved in the Honor of the Champ Battle Royals. Okay. Shane and Miz. Hard to think that this all started with the Best in the World tournament in Saudi Arabia. So it's been going since November till now. They became a tag team. They lost the belt. Shane turned heel. Miz turned face. Miz started out as face, but didn't work, so we're about 11 years later, now Miz is an over babyface. So he's an 11-year overnight success because he clawed his way through, and he fought to deserve, to earn the respect of the crowd and of the locker room. Good. Basic character motivation, basic character alignment. With someone who can do a good promo and works well in the ring. It's all wrestling fans ask for. Who are you? Why are you here? Can you accomplish what you need to do on the mic? Can you accomplish it in the ring? Do you do enough to make me care about you? That's it. That's all it is. That's all it is. Miz is going to do well. I've seen Shane as a heel. I think this is the first true time Shane will have been a heel. The Invasion Eagle's kind of gray. It's like, oh, well, WCW, ECW were the villains. I guess you want to go that route, then Shane was a villain then too, but he was a villain very early on, but then he left for several years. So this is the first time he's been back that he's really been a villain in the past couple of years. So it's been a while since he's been a villain in this capacity. When he was underneath Vince, it made sense because Vince is a heel, you'd be a heel. So interesting. Randy Orton, AJ Styles. They did a singles match, and you could tell that they held back about one half of what they could do in their singles match. And they've thrown up bits and pieces here and there in multiple man matches. Like, who can do this? I mean, you go, I want to see the indie darling take on the homegrown talent. I want to see this. I want to see these two guys go, because I think Randy appears to be motivated, and a motivated Randy Orton is easily in the top 5 professional wrestlers in the world when he's motivated. The problem is he's hard to... When he gets motivated, he's up there. And he is up there with some of the best professionals in the world when he's motivated. I think you put him in a match with AJ Styles, that could steal the show. So far that means we've got Usos Hardys, could steal the show. Joe and Mysterio could steal the show. AJ Orton could steal the show. Women's tag belts. As long as there's not Tamina and Nia, there's some possibility with this. I still think you do a fatal 4-way. I think you do the Sky Pirates of NXT because you're going to be in town. And I do think that seeing Kairi Sane and Io Shirai, see those two work in the match because high work rate, high flying. And I think that Io Shirai, Sasha Banks is internet fans' dream. It's one of her dream matchups. And I think those 4 could put on a solid match. But you need contrasting styles too. I think the Divas of Doom work really well with this. Then again, you have strength and technical. So you've got speed and technical. You've got raw speed. You've speed and high flying, speed and technical, strength and technical. I probably the Iconics too. I think the Iconics bring enough of that tag team continuity cheaty heel that throws in pretty much the 4 styles you have in professional wrestling when it comes to the gross overgeneralization. I think that would work well. Because I can see them doing tags to get in, to attack someone from behind, to help adjust the flow of the match. So it's not just a power, it's not just a speed, it's not just technical. It allows them to break up things to give the match different layers as it's going through. I think a Fatal 4-Way makes sense. The WWE Championship. Man, did they luck into it when Ali got a concussion. Which is a horrible thing to say. But Kofi, like The Miz, 11 years in the business, deserves adulation of the fans. Has earned the adulation respect of the fans. It makes sense. He's in that long list of people who should have been a world champion. Notice I said world champion. I'm not going to differentiate between WWE champion, Universal champion, or back in the day, the World Heavyweight Championship. ECW Championship, you could probably say that fell under towards the end when it was the gray metal on the black, when it wasn't more of the ECW, the WWE ECW Championship belt towards the end of its era. You could probably say that was above like a US and an IC, but not in the same echelon as the 2 big belts. I think the story they do with Kofi, it makes sense. It works well. I think Kofi was not their first choice, but to be honest, I feel like they had a second choice. He did phenomenal in that matchup in the Elimination Chamber. I love that they pulled him out of Fastlane. Having him do a great job in that gauntlet match. I probably would have tweaked the gauntlet match just a little bit. I might have had either Mysterio's music hit to distract Joe, then the roll up on Joe, and then Joe just beelines to Rey to beat him down. I don't think we didn't need 2 beatdowns. I thought the Eric Rowan beatdown was good enough. I think doing an Eric Rowan beatdown, then a Samoa Joe beatdown, and then having to face Randy Orton, could have. I think the DQ of Eric Rowan made sense. I think that the post match beatdown from Joe was a tad bit overkill, and the fact that they brought in Daniel Bryan at the end, who technically was on stage when Vince said, "Beat all of these men." So I liked it because it made you dislike Vince, which is where Joe's popular music hits. It made you even more endeared to Kofi. And also put really good heat on Daniel Bryan. So it made you hate the people you're supposed to hate, made you love the person you're supposed to love. And it does not feel forced. It does have that great feeling of, I am the boss and I have hand-picked people. Yes, you've been a loyal employee, you've everything I've asked you to do, you made me a ton of money. However, you don't quite fit whatever random machinations are in McMahon's head as to who a champion is. I look at it almost from, since the New Day does more comedic stuff, we've never really truly had a comedic champion. We've had champions who've done comedy, but never truly had a comedic champion. Santino got close. But we've never had someone who does more jokes, more true entertainment become a world champion. Big Show joked a while back that, he told Kofi to dump Xavier Woods and Big E, and that he would be a world champion. Sometimes either you have success or you have fun. You might not always get both. So maybe Kofi having chosen fun, stunted his success a little bit. We also do that he was really close to becoming a top echelon guy, but he made some mistakes with Orton, and Orton called him stupid and stunted where he was going. But all that means too is that when we finally see Kofi and Daniel Bryan, if they let Kofi win, and Kofi should win, even if he loses it back the next night, does not matter. Putting the belt on Kofi, and then having that scene where Kofi is being held up by both Big E and Xavier, and the crowd's going nuts. Perfect. Because then SmackDown's going to be? SmackDown is going to be incredible with those guys coming down. It's going to be, your 4-time tag team champs and the new WWE champion, Kofi Kingston, the New Day. The crowd's going to go nuts for it. It's lightning in the bottle. So what you do? You use it. You use it. Whoever beats Kofi, if they do it underhanded, if they do it straight up, you're going to take all this great goodwill, and you're going to bring that and you put that on someone else for heat. And it's going to be beautiful. And it's going to allow you to take a story that you didn't know that you wanted, that you were able to get, and then elevate multiple people with it simultaneously, which is rare. And it's a beautiful thing when it happens. Batista, Triple H. I dig it. I think the part-timers facing part-timers makes sense. I'm fine with it. Kurt Angle, Baron Corbin. I dig Baron Corbin. I can tell when he was at NXT that he was right there. He's got enough of an it factor. He was just missing some other attributes, and I think he's really got it now. But his character's pretty much, like upper mid gatekeeper heel, which is fine. I mean, you can make a career out of that, and it'd be fine. But if that's the last match for Kurt Angle, it makes sense not to put Kurt in a match with someone who's much faster. Like someone who took on Gable. Kurt is not the Kurt of old, and Corbin's style works well enough for its flurry of offense. I do a move that cuts your offense. Flurry of offense. This move cuts your offense. It allows him to do stuff that works well enough to cover for Kurt's losing the Father Time. It's nothing. Take nothing away from Kurt. Still an elite athlete. Just you do not beat Kronos. You don't. So their match, Andre Memorial Battle Royal with Braun Strowman. If they do a women's battle royal, it's whoever doesn't get involved in the main match. Oh, that reminds me. I guess Asuka will take on somebody. Hopefully it's Sonya Deville. I think they could find a good match, but she tapped out Becky Lynch at the Royal Rumble, did nothing at Chamber, had a okay-ish match with Mandy Rose, and now he's got nothing going on for Mania. It feels like... And now here we're going to be at 7 hours of Mania. And Tony thinks Buddy Murphy's going to be awesome. Buddy Murphy's firing on all cylinders. I almost do wish, though, that when he said it's greatest cruiserweight of all time, I would have loved a dream match of Buddy Murphy and Rey Mysterio. So then the person who's like, my opponent is history, being the greatest cruiserweight of all time, taking on the greatest master wrestler of all time. That just makes sense. You would have a guy who's known for cruiserweight wrestling and a guy who's the up-and-coming champion in the world of cruiserweight wrestling. Just maybe like a SummerSlam crossover match. I don't know. So there's the ability to do lots of good things. I will say this. With Ronda, Becky, and Charlotte main eventing, if someone doesn't pin Ronda, it's a waste. Do I make the biggest match of all time, especially for women's wrestling? You make it a three-way dance, so it's a three-person elimination match. The person who walks away as the Raw Women's Champion will have to defeat the other two to make it happen. Then it puts a fork in it. It's done. This is it. This person defeated the other top two women. It's not a fluke. That's how you end it. And if you want it to be, Ronda taps out Charlotte and then gets tapped out by Becky, and then Ronda can be like, well, you know what? Had it not been an elimination match, I beat Charlotte, I would still be champion. Allows you to work enough for storyline afterwards that you can still do more stuff if Ronda decides she wants to come back.